Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this evening, the one, the only Jacob Terrell, and somewhere back from the Black Lagoon, Earl Nieto. Glad to have you guys both here this evening. Full house. Earl, we are glad to see that you are alive and potentially well, although you're probably trapped in a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
He's at the hotel that they filmed The Shining at.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
At least it appears as though you're not tied to the bed as if you're in the movie Misery. So
okay. I didn't know where you were going with that.
If I'm gonna be clear, you have only seen my left hand.
I don't want to know where the right hand is.
It could go so many places, and we've got already a comment here. Wow, hi Earl. She's shocked. Jane Lilly is shocked that Earl is here. We appreciate you, Jane. We are also shocked that Earl is here.
I am shocked that I'm here.
Especially since I got a phone call from him about 30 minutes ago saying he was probably going to be late because his house was flooded.
Your house is flooded?
Yeah, my rental that I'm in, it flooded.
But he's still here.
Love
so
third world problems.
Let's give him some props for being here.
Earl is here
with a flooded. He overcame a flooded house. Overcame a flooded house to get here for the first time in a month.
No soundbite. What the shit's happening here?
We have no idea what you're talking about. Are you trying to play a soundbite?
No.
There's your soundbite, Earl.
Oh god, that's the only one we have loaded. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, that is the only sound clip we have loaded on the soundboard currently. But yeah, full house tonight, and it's about damn time. We've got just under 2 months until Jacob leaves to go to the police academy. Earl, we're hoping that you're back permanently from the Black Lagoon.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I mean, to that, we do have people lined up to potentially come in and help fill the spots while Jacob is out, and should Earl need to be out as well. We do have some great folks coming up for you guys in the coming weeks and months. So be on the lookout for that. We had attempted to get Peter Trevisani on the show tonight. Found out today that Peter is actually traveling abroad. So no Peter tonight. We were hoping to talk to him about the coaching change, which obviously is the big news over the weekend, and we'll get to that here in just a couple minutes. But first off, New Mexico United did play Saturday night at the Lab. Devin Sandoval night. El Paso Locomotive came in, one of the hottest teams in the USL Championship right now. They were 8 unbeaten coming into the match. They extended that to 9 with a 1-0 victory over New Mexico United with, honestly, a really well-placed header at an opportune time for El Paso. And so we're not going to spend too much time on that match this evening because obviously, like I said, the bigger story is the coaching change. So, Jacob, you and I did an instant react Saturday night. You were obviously out at the Lab.
So was I.
Earl was out at the Lab as well. I don't know if the two of you actually got together and conversed and had time together.
Yeah, I saw him for about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that early that you are alive and that you are allowed out of the house for a day trip.
I was actually waiting for my link for an instant reaction, which is kind of good that I didn't give you guys an instant reaction because there would have been a lot of curse words.
Well, I don't see how that's any different from any other show. So,
You're not wrong.
God, Jacob. I'm not even going to address that here yet, but I mean, just refresh the folks that didn't catch the instant reaction on Saturday.
Can we time out for just a second?
Sure.
I don't want to give El Paso more credit than they
deserve. Can we time out? Can we time out for one more second?
No. Yeah, you just.
Yes.
No, you.
1 second. Just 1 second. Where the shit is my burning question?
I mean, we're getting to that. It's coming. That's coming. We're not doing it immediately. I've got one. I do have one locked and loaded, but it's coming here in just a little bit.
What the fuck's going on?
I don't know.
This is sheer chaos.
Earl comes back and thinks he runs the show.
Well, what are you talking about? Are you talking to somebody else? Oh, I didn't. We lost Earl's there.
Me?
Anyways,
No.
time out.
No.
Time out.
Earl,
Okay.
Earl was asking about a burning question.
Reset. I swear we're professional sometimes, guys. Back to El Paso real quick. I wanted you to give them too much due. You said 8. They made it 9. It's actually 6. They made it 7.
No, they were 8 unbeaten because they lost to 3 and then they won. They were unbeaten at 8 straight.
Oh, unbeaten. No.
Yeah, unbeaten.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're unbeaten now in 8 straight. No, fuck. Never mind. El Paso's there.
It is 9. It is 9 because they were.
I was thinking winning.
Mhm.
Winning, they have won 6, now 7.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going off of. Not, I forget about ties sometimes still.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. So I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't want to give them too much credit because we are defensively. We actually did play fairly well Saturday evening. It was just a well placed cross, really well placed header by El Paso. So I mean, instant reaction to that match. I mean, was there anything glaringly bad from United in that match? Was there anything that stood out as being a positive from that?
Yes, there's one thing that stands out glaringly bad.
Okay.
One thing. And it is the guy that's wearing the C on his arm.
I mean, we should have expected this, right?
Yeah. We should have,
Yeah. Like I said, king of hot takes and bandwidth problems. So no.
I didn't think he was.
God-
I didn't think he had that bad of a night. That's all I'm saying. He has
he
has had plenty of bad nights. I didn't think
I know he has.
Saturday night was that bad.
Saturday night was actually one of his better nights.
Okay.
But he was also
So then
the
how
worst
is he
thing on the
glaringly
pitch.
bad?
He was the worst thing on the pitch. And once again,
Can you just state his name for the record, please, sir?
Sam Hamilton.
Thank you, sir.
I was expecting him to say JPG, but
JP Hamilton.
Also
JP
known
Hamilton
as-
sounds like a banker.
yeah, it does.
called JG Hamilton.
Uh,
877 on the slide on the pitch.
So Hamilton was your glaringly bad aspect of the
Yeah.
night. What was the good that you took away from Saturday night?
The good that took away from Saturday night. Wags getting to start.
Okay. And to Aaron's point here, immediately following the match, in his post-game interview with Andy Hageman, former head coach Zach Prince, actually singled out Sam Hamilton as having a really good night. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, Earl, for this being the first match you've seen in about 3 months, I mean, realistically, like what more could we have done other than put more shots on target? I mean, 5 shots throughout the entire match. I think we had 2 on target. So
I love when you set me up for these questions.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. So what could we have done different? We could have scored more goals.
Thank you, Chris.
this I don't know.
Picked up right where I left off.
Yeah. Welcome back to Earl, everybody. Thank you, guys.
I tell you, it's a much different show when Earl's on. I'm not going to say better or worse. It's just much different.
Earl, you have been missed. You have been missed.
So, in your opinion, what is the glaringly bad spot of this show?
Of the
Hi,
show?
Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
Hi, it's me. Problem is me. Okay, no. I will say this is the highest number of live viewers I've seen in a long time up here in the corner with almost 10. And I blame, I think part of it's what's going on with the club right now. People are interested, but I also think Earl here is already broadcasting in a sauna.
I think Sam was fine missed yelling at Yuma. Yeah, I think everyone missed yelling at Yuma. So there were comments made on social media saying it took the crowd quite a while to pick out somebody to yell at since Yuma wasn't there.
Can I plead to the fans to let's not hate on Yuma anymore because he's old and washed up. And let's focus all that hatred for El Paso on one guy in particular. No, he plays left back, and his name is Borelli, and I fucking can't stand it. I think he's worse than Yuma. He's just a fucking gnat out there and just drives me up a wall. I mentioned it in the instant reacts. There was a free kick in the second half where he was shoving Kelowna over and over, and it probably did it like 5 times. And then Kelowna pushed him back once, and Borelli literally flew onto his backside and then acted like he had just been mugged. And then when Sam helped him up and tried to push him to go get back in position, then he stood up to Sam, Borelli's like 5'5", maybe. I don't know. He's tiny. He's a tiny human being. And I didn't like him before. I definitely don't like him now.
So I know what you're talking about. It was kind of like 70th minute ish, closer to the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
I was actually sitting right there, second row in supporter section.
Humble brag.
Yeah, just a little slight right there, whatever. I only got second row because I got beer poured on my back, if that helps you.
You're in the supporter section in the second row. I don't know what else you expected.
No, I was in like the 6th row at first, and I got beer poured on my back, and I moved to second row. Hi, Rachel, by the way. I'm sure you're watching. Every podcast needs an Earl, and that is definitely true.
Henry, I agree.
Anyways, back to what I was trying to say. The way Sam picked up Borelli was like, it was worth the price of admission, because Borelli went flying into the goal, and Sam went and walked over and pretty much like pulled him up by the ear and said, "No, you're not gonna do that right now. Go back that way."
Yeah, Borelli was obviously a thorn in the United side. He got the assist on the goal there in the second half, and he's a guy that we've talked about in past seasons, and he just always seems to be wherever he needs to be for El Paso. And he's not quite a master of the dark arts like Yuma is, but yeah, Borelli is a guy who
I don't know, man,
who is knowledgeable and he's very, very good at what he does. So,
can we just admit that there's shady things that happen in El Paso?
Yes.
First, we have the 15-year-old who's seen things like a puppy being stomped on. Which I don't know what he's doing these days. Probably like slaughtering sheep or something. I don't know.
He's actually playing quite well for the USA under-20
I didn't ask.
World Cup.
I didn't really care either.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Borelli, who's mimicking Yuma. And then there's Yuma, who hasn't played against United in like 4 consecutive matches. So I'm a little disappointed. I mean, there's a lot of shady shit happening down there.
Don't fact check that, Seth.
I'm fairly certain that's not correct.
Earl speaks in Earl truths. They're not truths for anybody else, but they're truths for Earl.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't played in quite a while against us, and I'm about to fact check myself.
All right.
You go right ahead. While you're doing that, Earl, Jacob, I mean, we talked a little bit about what United did not do well. Obviously offensively, we're still having issues. It looked to me like there was a lack of confidence coming out of that San Antonio match, which is kind of surprising given how well we played in the second half against San Antonio. So was there something about that just like, why didn't that carry over? Why didn't we see that same intensity? Why did we come out and not play well in this particularly, offensively?
Well, we found something out after we did the instant reacts pod that kind of, to me, explains I don't know when the players found out exactly, but
some point Saturday.
Okay. So that to me is a pretty good explanation of why we looked so blah with our intensity and stuff. Because I think players can take it one of two ways. If they find out their coach is leaving, depending on what's going on, they can say, "Hey, let's go win this one for him." But I don't know about you, Seth. I know you weren't at the press conference. and neither was Earl, even though he had an invitation to be there. So I got there.
Hold on. There was one reason why I wasn't at the press conference. And it's a little 5-year-old that stands about yay tall who wanted autographs.
Bro, if the players are still in the field, there's not a press conference going on.
Nope, she wanted every player's autograph.
The press conference then starts at like 10.
She got players like Ford Parker, Wags. Yeah, so she got pretty much everyone that night. So that's why I wasn't at the press conference.
Hashtag not an excuse, but okay. Moving on.
Hashtag shut your mouth.
Moving on. We finished with the instant reacts, and I told you, Seth, on that pod that I probably wasn't going to stay for the presser.
Mhm.
But I told you I was going to walk down there and see what was going on. So I walked down there, talked to a few people, was actually on my way out when a United staffer stopped me, or I stopped to talk to a United staffer. I said bye to said United staffer, and they said, you might want to stay for this one. And right then, I had a feeling in my gut, but I wasn't sure. And so we're sitting there. I was talking to Chris Walker and Adri and the photographers for Seek and Strike, and we're sitting there just chatting it up. And then Peter and Zach are the only two that come up for the presser. And I think I knew then. I think I kind of knew then. But I was confused because if it was like a fired situation, I didn't think Zach would be up there. So I was a little confused, but
well, the thing, to be fair, that's not the first time that it's been just the two of them, though.
Yeah, but it just a feeling that I had, like with the United staffer telling me I should stay, and then them coming in, it was pretty clear to me that Zach had been crying. They sit down. Zach, they don't open up for questions. Zach opens up with a statement on the game. And then David says, have an announcement. This is Zach's last match. And if the players took it anything like I took it, that fully explains what happened Saturday, because I was shook, man. There was a line in the presser. Zach talked about, the new opportunity that he's got coming up and some other things. And then he talks about the academy and how proud he is of stuff. And then his last line before the first line of questioning was how he remembered Andres Robles. Shout out to Aaron Reeder in the chat who just mentioned him. And I agree. I would like to see him more out there. He's looked good when he's been out there, but he says that he said, let me want to get the quote up because I don't want to misquote him, and I've got it right here. He said, and the academy players, these kids, man. Andres Robles looks like a grown man right now. And when I first saw him, he was a little kid. And then he just stopped. He would, how Zach talks when he gets on one of those long answers, and he just talked, and then he got there and he just stopped like on a dime, and then just was staring kind of up over the cameras right in front of him, and I got choked up. Like, say what you will about tactics. Sorry, I'm going to hijack the podcast for a minute and go on my little soliloquy of what pissed me off in New Mexico United Nation, and then just
that's definitely going to be part of the conversation tonight as well.
And then with Zach leaving and stuff, look, we've had the opportunity to have Zach on the podcast a couple times. We've obviously had the opportunity to interview Zach at press conferences after matches, at media days, after preseason matches. I talked to him. Me and my wife talked to him for probably 10 minutes at the Black and Yellow Bash this year. You can say you didn't like his tactics. You can say you had a problem with his sub patterns. You can say The lack of intensity from the players comes down from him. You can say whatever you want about that, but having very little interaction, but still some interaction with him, he was a stand-up guy, and he cared about every player on that roster, from the first team to the U23s to the academy. He spent 5 years at this club. He came in with Troy and helped build this club into what it is. And you can say we haven't been as successful as you might have liked us being on the field, or we can say we haven't been as successful on the field as you might have liked, you as in just the general you listening or whatever. And whatever you want to say about that stuff, it doesn't matter, because he was a good guy. He was a great guy. He is a great guy. He's not dead. He's just moving on. I know. But to just come in and shit on him when he announces that he's leaving, and talk bad about him as a person, really, really rubbed me the wrong way. And honestly, had some of the conversations that I had been in on United Nation been in person, it would have been real hard not to throw some punches. But internet tough guys, you know. But he is a great man. He has a great family, and I for one am sad to see him as a person go. I'm not upset about him as a coach leaving. I obviously believed in him as a coach, but one thing that we've learned in the 5 years is that players and coaches come and go. And we follow that in all the other sports. It's just different with this one because we get to know them. We get to know them on a semi-personal level. We get to talk to them face to face. We get to ask them. I talked to Zach for 10 minutes about his family, and he asked me about my family. And so when the Atlanta Braves general or manager gets fired, you don't know him as a person. You know him as a manager. So it is different with United, I think, for even the fans, because I think the fans even get a chance to know these guys a little more than you would, you know, if you were an Atlanta Braves fan, a Laker fan, a Dodger fan, a Dallas Cowboy fan. It's just different because of the small, tight-knit community that we have here. And it's just, it sucks, man. I talked to David Carl after the presser a little bit, and I asked him how he was doing, and he was like, I'm doing all right. But you could tell he was down. And I said, yeah, it kind of fucking sucks, man. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it does. But it's part of sports. We're not going to hold back Zach from moving on. And you can speculate all you want about, he quit and he saw the writing on the wall. That's why he's moving on and this, that, and the other. Fine. You can think that all you want, but you don't fucking know. You don't know what was going on in his heart. You don't know what his real reasons were. And I can tell you from sitting in that press conference that it was not an easy decision for him. It weighed on him heavily. It was still weighing on him. There was a point after he made that Andres Robles point that I thought he was just going to turn around and change his mind right then and there and be like, never mind, I'm staying. That's how much it looked like it was weighing on him. So you can hate on the tactics, you can hate on the results on the field, but don't hate on the man. He was, if you don't know him, I don't know him. I sit here and talk about having conversations with him, but I don't know him. But I know enough of it to know that I'm not going to shit on him for leaving, whether the reason was because he was scared of the failure that we were having in the moment. But we heard on the radio that it was a month ago that we heard this stuff, or that this stuff kind of first came up. And then we went 4 unbeaten in the USL. So we weren't having a hard time when this first came up and it first got discussed and he first started thinking about it. So I don't want to hear anything about he quit on the team. I don't want to hear anything about, it got hard, so he left. No, this was in the works long before we were even aware of it, long before anybody was even close to being aware of it. And it sucks if you're a fan of Zach. I'm sure there's some people that are thrilled. I know Tito, I love you, but I'm not happy with you right now.
There are some folks on social media that are, ecstatic that he's gone. Right. Which I think is really, really sad. And if you're listening in, if you're watching in, and you don't know what Jacob was referring to, yesterday on ESPN Radio 117 The Team, Peter Trevisani in his weekly segment came on the air and addressed some of this stuff. And that's where, Peter told everyone that this is something that Zach had been approached around a month ago. And that's when, Peter became aware of it. And so, the club worked with Zach. The new club that he's going to is working with Zach and with United. And Peter basically said that we made a trade for our coach, is what it's going to come across to be. And we're still awaiting the announcement on the other side. But yeah, it's not, people were saying, I know there's El Paso fans out there saying, we caused this. You El Paso fans just need to shut the fuck up. Number one, you did not cause this. Clearly, and if you're so dense that you cannot go back and listen to the information that's being given by Peter, by Zach, that's being reported out by those of us that cover the club, there's something wrong. Go back and read that and really soak it in. This is the decision that Zach made over the course of the past month. And listening to Peter talk about it, El Paso is kind of the date that they circled as the potential last day for Zach. Now, the fact that he went out on a loss in a rivalry game, yeah, it's going to suck. But the reactions across social media, across the Mexico United Nation, even over on Reddit, some of the reactions there are just completely unfounded. And yes, Rachel, I do agree with that. There's something wrong with El Paso in general. But yeah, it's, like Jacob said, agree with the tactics or don't. And again, that's something, that Pete brought up in the interview yesterday. He said, we basically run the same style of play for the past 5 years. Now, I know some people took that as though Pete was not happy with the way things are going, but I mean, we've made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. We had our highest point total ever last year. We were, I think, 2 points out of hosting a playoff game last year. So it's not like we haven't had success under this style of play, under Zach, under Troy. I crunched numbers. Zach's record, he had a 380 winning percentage. Troy had a 415 winning percentage across all competitions. Now, not bad numbers by any stretch of the imagination. And we were on track. We were seeing positive things here this year. And again, this is an opportunity for Zach. Now, the assumption and the rumor that's around, and the belief is that Zach will be going to New York Red Bulls to coach alongside Troy once again. And if that's true, congratulations to him. It's a huge step up. In his statement, he said he was going to a new league. So he's
quote, a different league and a different position.
Yeah, different position. So he's not staying within the USL. He is not taking over a head coaching position. So yeah, that's the assumption, because Red Bulls have been expected to make an announcement as far as an assistant coaching position over the international break. That's the rumor. That's where we believe Zach's going. I don't see him going anywhere else. But yeah, just, check yourselves before you start putting some of this stuff out there on social media, particularly when it becomes personal and going after Zach as a person and saying that he quit on this club. He did not quit on this club. And all of our interactions with Zach and with the players had bought into this system. This is, again, 5 years, similar styles of play. Yes. But the players had bought in. Were we getting the results? Were we getting the finishes that we did? No. But you're not always going to get that in a soccer match. You're not going to get that in any sport that you play. And so, it's just a massive overreaction from some people. And there's a lot of people saying, I know some people have been encouraged to go and, put in their CVs to try to apply for the position of the head coach. But like, those of us sitting here, we sit here, we watch the matches, we break down what we see. And I guarantee you, if we go to Zach, we say, hey, this is what I saw. It's actually like, okay, well, that's not what was going on. We do the best that we can to interpret it. And I guarantee you, any of you sitting at home criticizing Zach, you cannot do anywhere near as good of a job as he can.
There's only one person I would love to see apply for this position. And that's Cole.
Cole was surprisingly quiet. I didn't see anything from Cole. I saw a bunch from other people that pissed me off. But
I
Cole
even tried to stir the pot a little bit and tag him in a comment, and he still didn't say anything. So Cole, if you're listening, because I know you listen to this stupid thing, if you're listening, by all means, reach out to the front office and say you want to apply. I would love to see one of them laugh at you And as for your credentials on being a USA soccer coach, head coach, manager, assistant coach, fucking ball boy.
Let's back up just a hair there, Seth. You mentioned the success last year. Aaron Reeder, who's in the chat live right now, but he had a comment on Facebook on one of our posts, or on the post of when you put the announcement for that we're going to go live.
Mhm.
He says, I'm gonna ignore the first part of your question first, Aaron, because that's going to be, we're going to talk about Itamar here in a little bit. But the second part, he said, Zach mentioned a bunch of statistical achievements reached last season. Why did it feel like a crummy season then?
What? And that's a very valid question, because you look at how things happened last season. We were not good for stretches at a time. We just really weren't, and we did kind of back our way into the playoffs there towards the end. And that's not something that we did the year before. The year before that, we had the opportunity to make the playoffs and we didn't do it. And so, we kind of backed our way in, and we and as has been the case for this club throughout its history, we did not close out matches well at all last year. Jacob, we talked about on the podcast last season about how many times we gave up, how many times we dropped points from a winning position. Mm-hmm. And we did it far too many times, whether it was ending up in a draw or ending up in a loss. And that's why. That's part of why it felt so bad last year. But when we had those highs, the highs were there, and we did enough to get into the playoffs. But I absolutely get the question. I completely understand it. And I mean, same thing so far this year. We've had stretches of play where we have not been very good at all. But in that 4-match unbeaten run, we had some very good play. We did some very good things, and we talked about how good things looked and how it could be a turning point in the season. And it's like that with every sport. You look at teams like we talk about the Cowboys and the Braves and the Lakers and all that kind of stuff. Like, teams are going to have down runs. They're going to have down moments. They're also going to have those highs. And so you have to look at it from a greater perspective. Like, while we did have bad moments, we did enough to get into the playoffs. Now, was it where we thought we would be last year? No.
Well, and that's the thing there, is it comes down to expectations. I think with the signing of Nico Brett and trading for Jerome Kiesewetter and Alexi Swahi coming in, there was a lot of new names that came in last year that led us to believe we were going to be really good. And that probably, I'm gonna say it was kind of on the fans. Like, we did just come off of a season that we missed the playoffs, just changed head coach, and for whatever reason we thought we were going to come in and contend for the cup. And I was guilty of it too. I thought we had a really good team on paper and thought we were going to be able to compete, for a home playoff game at least. And we did compete for a home playoff game. We just didn't quite get there. And then I think you saw flashes of it. Like, we had a 5-game winning streak where we beat Phoenix, although Phoenix's B team, 7-0. We just shellacked them. Also in that 5-game stretch, we had Charleston, and we had Indy on the road. We had Orange County on the road, and we had Oakland on the road. So, we beat Charleston on the road, then we beat up on Phoenix, then we go on the road 3 more times and get 3-2-1 victories out of there. And so we saw the good that this team could be. But then after that, we come in and we lose to Birmingham. There's another stretch later in the year. We barely squeaked by a Red Bull 2 team that was absolutely atrocious, that we probably should have won like 4-0, but we just barely beat them 2-1 on a stoppage time goal. Then we lose at home to Sacramento. Then we get throttled at home by Miami. Then we draw away to Galaxy. Then we lose at home to Memphis. Then finally we kind of get back on the right path with a win against Monterey Bay, but then we turn around and lose on the road to Colorado Springs. So it was the up and down nature, including the next game, which was a loss to El Paso in the lab, that really kind of led to us being like, oh, we could be really good or we could be really bad. After that El Paso game, we went and lose to RGV 3-1 in RGV. So now we're into the middle of September. We've lost 3 of 4. and we're going to San Antonio, who last year, if you remember, was like what Sacramento's doing this year. That's what San Antonio did last year, but probably a little bit better. So we go into San Antonio and somehow we salvage a draw. Then we get a draw against Lights, which probably should have been a win. Then we get a draw against San Diego, which okay. But then we do finish with 2 wins in the last 2 games, which were needed to get to that point where we were fighting for a home playoff spot. And so the season last year just kind of was up and down and up and down, but you could see the talent was there. And so you had expectations that, hey, maybe we could do something. And so when that doesn't happen, yeah, you're going to be frustrated. But at the end of the day, Zach was right. It was the most points per game, or points for the season, most wins, fewest losses, just a bunch of things there that led to, if you were just coming in blind, we had a pretty good season. And then you go into this season and it's kind of the same thing. You see the talent there at times. We put it together against Monterey Bay. We put it together against Orange County. We've looked good at times, just haven't been able to put it together for long stretches. And so I don't know. It's a great question why it felt bad last year, but it did. And now we move on.
Yeah, you're right. And now the club moves on. And, as Peter and the front office get into their coaching search, Peter, again, talking about on 101.7 The Team yesterday, he talks about some of the difficulties of now finding a coach middle of the season. Is it ideal? No. A lot of coaches are currently, tied up with clubs and seasons of their own, whether they're MLS, USL. I know, a lot of foreign leagues just ended, but, the club already has feelers out. You can't exactly be transparent and saying, hey, that you're doing a coaching search before you know that your coach is actually leaving, and, Peter is very transparent with a lot of people about a lot of things. Pete Leaks also is very much a thing, which I know frustrates David Carl and the rest of the front office from New Mexico United at times. But, Pete was very honest in his interview yesterday with 101.7. And, he talks about, looking forward and moving ahead. And he talks about how he reached out to former director of player personnel, Itamar Kanan, brings him back as the first ever sporting director for New Mexico United. We've had conversations with Itamar. You guys have had conversations with Itamar, down on the field and after the game and things like that. And, Itamar comes in and he's going to be overseeing player personnel as well as coaching signings as well. So he's deeply involved in, Itamar, if you don't know who he is, he's a former international scout. He's been around the game for quite a while. He also
has his own agency.
Yeah, exactly. He's been deeply involved with the sport of soccer. And so you talked to Itamar about some of the signings, some of the guys that he's helped bring in. And, I think this is a big signing for United here to bring Itamar back. Obviously he left last year. I don't know what exactly he did in the interim. I think he went back to scouting or working back at his agency. I'm not 100% sure.
I believe he went to Vegas to Lights and helped build that roster that they had there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what he had left to do. Real quick, Robert just said that what I was saying made sense. I just want to make sure we get that on record. Maybe I won't say fuck you, Robert, at the end of this episode. No, who knows? Since you agreed with me on something.
I think that would be a first for you there. But yeah, the club is moving forward, and there's already some rumors about some possible guys being brought in. And Jacob, you kind of talked in one of our group chats. I believe it was one with myself and Harry, talking about a Twitter account who has floated some names. Now there are some other names. It's because New Mexico United has, of course, not named a true interim head coach. Masaki Himi will be taking over the lead of the coaches for preparation for upcoming matches. And, there's no telling how long it's going to take for Pete and the front office to decide on who the next head coach is going to be. And, some of the names that have been floated, and we'll get to those here in just a second. And Earl, your burning question is coming. I promise you that. This Twitter account, and again, Jacob, you mentioned to our conversation with Harry, you don't know who this guy is. We don't know how legitimate this guy's sources are. We don't know, what sort of connections this Twitter account has. three names that popped up: Danny Dicio, Richard Chaplow, and Rick Shantz. So, Earl, your burning question for the evening, and it's in Jacob's little comment here. Hashtag Shantz in.
Question mark.
Question mark. Is Rick Shantz a guy that you believe the club would bring in to help turn things around? And how do you think the fan base reacts to a hiring of Rick Shantz, given the club's commitment to diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion, given Rick Shantz's history with Junior Flemings and the way things went down in Phoenix?
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. Appreciate you hanging out with us.
All right, so I'm on both sides of the fence on this one because obviously I don't agree with his handling of the Junior Fleming situation. For those of you who don't know about the Junior Fleming situation, I'm not going to touch on it, but you can Google it. That's a good thing about the internet is it's always there, and you can't take things off. So yeah, just check it out on Google if you don't know what we're actually talking about. On the flip side of it, you have to look at Rick Shantz and believe. I mean, I still believe he's a really good head coach, even though he had a lousy, at best, Phoenix season. He has rapport with some of our star players. Some of our star players on the roster right now with Greg Hurst and Santi Moore. I mean, two of our top players right now have played with him for the past 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons, or whatever you want to give it. So they have rapport with him. Do I personally want him? Absolutely not. But it's because I believe fuck Phoenix. And with him being a Phoenix head coach, he still falls under that whole umbrella of fuck Phoenix.
All right, Jacob, I know that there was some discussion on Twitter and on Facebook in the Mexico United Nation and some other places talking about the possibility of Rick Shantz. Where do you fall on the Rick Shantz argument?
Sorry, I was going through the Twitter account that put those names out to see if he had other rumors that he had put out there that had come through. The only one recently, he did say that Tulsa was shopping Dario Suarez, and Dario did leave today. So there is that. So maybe he has a little bit of insight. Robert, I don't remember that. But maybe. Moore is a pretty fiery guy, so I could see that happening. But as it comes to Shantz, if you're just looking for on the field success in the USL Championship, he's honestly probably the right hire. So if that's how you define success as a club is strictly what happens on the pitch, then maybe he's your guy. To me, New Mexico United is way more than that, and we need to find somebody that can balance on the field success with bringing the community together still. And I think his hiring would be way too polarizing to bring everybody together. And so I just don't think he's the right guy for this particular job, because I wouldn't necessarily be happy. I'd give him a chance, obviously. Like I'm definitely in favor of giving people chances, and it's kind of hard when you're in the middle of a very heated rivalry and he's on the other side to maybe think about that person without any biases. Obviously the Junior Fleming's San Diego Loyal incident is a whole separate topic that is really just kind of in the past now, and I Kind of like with Zach. I don't know Rick's heart about that kind of stuff. I don't know what's changed in the couple years since that happened in with him and how he conducts himself and stuff. So I'm not going to hold that against him. So maybe we're wrong. Maybe he's a stand-up guy and would
Actually,
go ahead.
Sorry, I just remembered something, and it actually changes my entire view of the whole chance in. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because hear me out on this one. I
I'm
remember last season. I'm mumbling.
No, I'm listening. I said.
Oh, I remember last season when he was having his piss poor performance, and Seth's good buddy, one of the Phoenix media members, we won't mention any names. 'Cause I don't want to give him any credit, any kind of kudos or anything. I remember him getting the opportunity, like he always does, to interview Shantz after the game, and I believe one of the questions was, "What went wrong for you to lose the match?" Something along that line. And Shantz's answer was, "The players didn't play well. It's all on the players. Nothing on me. It's not my fault. It's all on the players." So if he can't take accountability, at least some accountability, like, hey, I didn't prepare them well enough, or hey, I screwed up, whatever, I don't want him.
I mean, fair enough. I made a comment on one Twitter post about it. I said, I feel if Shantz is being seriously considered for the position, if he is brought in, I have a feeling that there's going to be a big backlash from supporters towards that. Just simply because of how he's handled things in the past, and how the club has presented themselves as LGBTQIA friendly, diversity, the diversity fellowship, all the stuff that the club is trying to do to promote inclusiveness. And I just don't know. I don't know if Shantz is the culture guy. Tactically, managerially, I think he could be a good fit, but I don't think he's the culture guy, and that's not what Pete wants. That's not what this club wants. That's not what these fans want. Now, yes, we want to win, and Shantz has a 65% win rate in the USL Championship. Talking about some of the other coaches whose names came up, Danny Dicio, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is currently part of Sacramento Republic. Now, is Sacramento Republic going to let one of their assistant coaches go mid-season? Who knows? Richard Chaplow, guy who was with Orange County in 2021 when they won the championship there. Again, obviously Orange County had a poor start to last season. We know how things went for them, so he was let go by them.
Here's where I think we can roll him out right away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the guy, honestly, but Peter was pretty adamant in both the 101.7 The Team and in United Sessions about wanting to play an exciting brand of soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And Orange County did not play an exciting brand of soccer when they won the title.
No.
Or any time that he was there. So I don't think that's the fit that Peter seems to be looking for.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I mean, obviously in their championship winning season, they had Damas, who was flashy, by himself. But yeah, that style of play, I don't think is what Peter's looking for. Now, I mean, I could be wrong, but we don't know what Peter's looking for. We don't know who they've interviewed. We do know that they have talked to folks. We do that they have, they have been making progress down the coaching search. Other names,
he did win me $300 in the championship against Tampa Bay. So if he does come in, I will thank him for that.
There you go. Other names that have floated up, locally, Coach Heather Dice. She's a name that's been floated. Now, I believe she holds the correct licenses to be able to coach professionally. I know that she has at least a USSF B license. Now, I also firmly believe that she's already been tapped for the women's club when the women's club comes. So I don't see her necessarily taking on additional roles here with New Mexico United beyond the advisor role, especially while she is a full-time employee of UNM. Rumor has it Coach Jeremy Fishbein was at the lab Saturday night. Some people have said that they would like to see Fish come in and take over the club. Now, I mean, Fish has not been necessarily a coach over the past several years, not since the UNM men's team shut down. But he's obviously he's a guy that has rapport with some of the guys that are currently on the club. Now, again, I don't know what Fish's licenses are. I don't know where he stands with that. But 2 names locally. But I mean, looking at this coaching search, I mean, is this something that the club needs to get done in a hurry? Is it something that the club needs to take their time and make sure they make the right hire?
So before that question gets answered,
Or not
also
even
one
no.
other.
Thank you.
I was talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have been playing FIFA since 1999, so whatever. But I'm not throwing my hat in there for that position. But I mean, yeah, no, I mean, back to the question, like, do we need a coach sooner rather than later, or is this something that maybe you see, Hemi and the rest of the guys taking over for an extended period of time, and maybe I don't necessarily want to say throw the season away, but do they get the opportunity to try to salvage some things, but while the club is making a decision?
I think they get their chance. I think they get played out a little bit and see where it goes. If they continue and they start winning and they continue a streak of wins or unbeaten streak, then maybe they have a little bit more time. But if it's loss after loss after loss, or terrible performance after terrible performance, and you eke by with a draw, barely you get a draw, then I think that the club starts looking at a more fast-paced Band-Aid fix until the end of the season.
Jacob, what do you think?
I couldn't disagree more. There's still 23, 22 games left. 23, I think. So we're only about a third of the way through the season. We still are, technically, with the game in hand, matches in hand that we have, 2 wins puts us like 5th. So we are right in the thick of it still, and I think that when you get this, obviously, if the coaching pool was completely barren. Hold on. Apparently my computer's not plugged in, and now it's telling me it's about to die.
Oh, fun. All right. While you're managing that, another name, Earl, and it's a name that we're familiar with, Jamison Olave from Salt Lake City a few years ago. His is a name that popped up, I believe, was over on New Mexico United Nation. Limited success out there, but he kind of got saddled with the whole MLS USL partnership there, to where he really couldn't get any sort of rhythm going with any of the players. And so, I mean, do you think that there's a chance that the hire comes from within again, or do you think the club is strictly looking outside at this point?
I want to say that the final head coach will be an outside source. Like I said before, I do believe that they give Hemi and whoever left of the coaching staff a try, and Jacob is humming over there.
Humming again?
Yeah.
I do believe that they give Hemi and his try and his team and his squad that he has a try. But like I said, if it goes to the pot right away, then they start looking for something quick.
So what do you mean by right away, Earl? Like how short of a leash are you giving him?
I'm giving it 2 games.
I think he's the manager this weekend.
3.
I think he's the manager this weekend, and we announce a new coach next week.
That's quick.
I think if I'm Peter, and the way Peter and Inmar were talking, the fact that they were already kind of putting out feelers a month ago when this first started, I think they kind of have 1 or 2 guys that they're already interested in, and they'll get something worked out in the next week or 2, because we're like, it's with the talent that we have and the place that we are in the table, it is far from out of the question that we can make a run still this season. With 20 some odd games left, plus the playoffs, you bring in somebody in the next match or two to get their hands in there and start making the adjustments. We still have, a window of opportunities to make some changes player-wise to fit what the new coach wants to do. I think the front office, Peter, has shown a willingness the last few years to make midseason moves. Last year we brought in, I don't know, three guys or so, and just attacking players basically. And so I think Peter wants to perform well on the pitch, and he wants to bring home something. He wants some kind of success. I think he still wants that goal of hosting a home playoff match, and I think we still have the talent to do that. And I'm not trying to shit on Himmy or anything like that. I think Peter thinks that the long-term answer is outside of the club, and he wants to get that put in place as fast as he can. And so I truly believe that by this time next week, we might be talking about a new coach.
Yeah, I agree with a hire coming from outside the club. I don't think, I don't think Peter wants to look down. And like you said, nothing against Himmy, nothing against the rest of the coaching staff, but I think you've got to go outside the club, bring someone in who's gonna, bring in a different style of play, because we don't know what type of, system like Himmy would want to run. We don't know what any of the rest of the technical staff would do. But in his interview, Pete did say that that the talent is there. It's a matter of finding someone that can come in and unlock the talent to get to the next level. And we've seen what these guys can do. We've seen the potential. We've seen what they did, through that 4-match stretch. We saw what they did at stretches last season, and and yes, we've dealt with a number of injuries this year. We've dealt with some down moments, and yeah, it's just, you got to bring in someone, kind of shake it up a little bit, but still fits the culture that the club wants to have. And so you talk about this, us possibly talking about a new coach next week. I don't think that's the case. I think this is something that we may see Himmy and company, in charge of the club for at least 3 to 4 weeks. Because I don't think this is something, even with putting out feelers mid-season. I mean, this is a critical moment for the club, and I don't see them. You can't really have those open discussions. Like Pete said in his interview, you can't have open discussions about a managerial role when, number one, it doesn't sound to me like Pete was looking to get rid of Zach at any point. At least not right now, based on how the season is going. So, I mean, what kind of conversation is that if you're having with someone saying, "Oh, well, we're in good shape right now, but we might get rid of our coach"? Like, what kind of message does that send? So like, I think at that point, a month ago, Pete and company are putting out feelers to see who might be available. And now, when we talked about the Zach Prince hiring before last season, Pete talked about how they received people just sending in their CVs, people sending in their resumes, wanting to come coach this club. And so, yeah, I don't think, outside of doing due diligence, that they've really had any serious talks until maybe the last 2 weeks with any of the candidates that they've looked at. And so I think it's going to be another 3 to 4 weeks, simply to make sure that they've got the right hire, because it doesn't sound like the club has gone through any sort of external agencies to find someone. Yes, we brought Inamar back in to help with that, but I think it's going to be a few more weeks, to get someone in and signed, and then have them transition in. So my guess is 3 to 4 weeks minimum before we see a new coach installed.
So we'll take 2.5 weeks from today.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Let me get the exact date here.
That would be around the 20th.
So we'll say the 23rd. So if they have not announced a coach by the 23rd, I will buy both of you. Earl's not. I don't think Earl's drinking anymore, but I will buy. You know what I'll buy you? I'll buy you some pig candy at the next home match that we're all at, because that shit's delicious. Let me tell you right now, that shit is incredible. And
if you're talking about something at the match, I will take a cherry-covered pickle with.
No, it's gonna be a
mushrooms.
fucking pig candy, bro.
Such
That's
a
what it
fucking
is.
mouth.
No,
Such a
that's what the
fucking
bet
mouth.
is. That's what the bet is. Pig candy or nothing. And then if they announce one before then one of you buys me pig candy, one of you buys me a beer, and we call it even there.
So looking at the upcoming schedule, obviously Tampa Bay this week.
Hey, well, hold on. Is that a deal? What are we doing here?
Yeah, we got a deal.
Cool.
Yeah, we got a deal. I was looking at the schedule. So yeah, Tampa Bay this week, obviously, RGB next week. Then you've got Phoenix, you've got Colorado, and then over 4th of July, you have Vegas and Detroit. So, and then you have a week and a half off in between and before, the Sunderland match. So looking at, to me, the most opportune times to install someone, if you're looking at getting them in and giving them opportunities to work with the club and train, you're looking at the last week of June, or maybe right after the announce the change around 4th of July, and then install them the week of the 10th of July, and give them that full week and a half of training heading into the Sunderland match. That's why that's why I think a longer search here is what's going to happen.
But that's 7 matches between now and July 8th when we play Detroit City, between that week off.
But I mean, realistically, what changes though? The squad hasn't changed. Hemi is most likely going to run. He's not going to come in and change a whole system. So you're still trying to get the same players to do the same thing over the next 7 matches.
Yeah, the same thing that has been wildly inconsistent for a season and a third now. And if you're going to be bringing in a new voice anyways, why not give him the most amount of time that you can give him to make sure this season isn't a complete and total failure?
I can see that side of it too. Like, I certainly can. I just look at it, and that's what that's just what I think is going to happen. So
I just think 7 matches is a ridiculously long time, or a ridiculous amount of matches to be in limbo for a club. Because I think it's been pretty clear that Hemi's not the long-term guy.
No.
And so if that's the case, then every match that we play with Hemi as the head coach is a match that the players are in limbo. The fans are in limbo. Hemi's in limbo. Everything's in limbo. So why drag out that period of limbo if my guess is they already have 1 to 3 guys that they're already interested in, if not more, or if not less. Maybe they've narrowed it down to 1. And if that's the case, then it's if there's 3 guys, it's an interview a day for 3 days, and then have internal discussions for a week, maybe. And then it's just about getting the contract in order. And so I would be stunned if it's not till after that Detroit City match on July 8th. I mean, a month away. I would be shocked if it takes that long.
Harry, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for popping in.
Thank you. That's why you're Team Jacob, and that's why I love you.
I don't disagree that 7 matches is a long time to have an interim head coach, but I mean, or not even necessarily an interim, because they haven't officially slapped the interim title on Hemi. So, I mean, yeah, it is a really long time. And you look at Red Bulls now. We believe they're going to officially announce Troy at some point as having the head coaching, the full head coaching title, not just interim, based off of how they play. But they're already 4 or 5 matches, 4, 5, 6 matches into the interim reign of Troy Lesane in New York. So
he's not the interim. He's not the interim. He's their guy.
Oh no, I know that he is. Like, I'm fairly certain that he is. But
and Hemi is not.
They haven't officially announced it yet. That's the thing. And so, like, I get it. And it is 2 different things. But yeah, Peter is traveling where, I don't know. I just told that he was traveling abroad. That's all that I was told by the club. So, but yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Hemi, obviously, he's most likely not going to be tagged, interim, and he's not going to have that. But, I don't think it's unheard of for it to happen. That ideally, would it be that long? Probably not. But that's what I think might happen, depending on who the pool is and who they interview, and are they the right fit for the club?
No, I mean, I get that it's a big decision. It's a pivotal point in the future of this club, especially with the stadium hopefully coming and everything like that. But it's also a pivotal point in this season, and this season is going to go a long way into what the future of this club looks like. And so I trust Peter and Itamar both, who we know are kind of workaholics, to work double time to get something in place and something done. And it might be, 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days before they actually pick somebody. But that doesn't seem like, that seems like too long to me. Like, they've already kind of narrowed their list down. They've already made phone calls. It's Tuesday now. This was announced on Saturday. I can guarantee you some Sunday and Monday phone calls were made, even though Peter was busy with interviews and stuff like that. I think I really, really believe that they've got their list narrowed down quite a bit, and will be doing whatever it takes to get somebody in place, somebody that they think is the right guy. I'm not saying they're out here rushing it, but a month is a really long time. And I don't think they need that long to figure out who they want and to get something in place to get them in here.
Yeah, and you guys can absolutely be right. And maybe it won't take that long. But yeah, obviously they do have to do due diligence. They have to find someone that Peter talked about. Finding someone who has cup experience. Who wants to come in and win a cup and work towards winning these trophies and keep building the culture and play an aggressive attacking style of football, play something that, that looks good. And, it's, and then you've got to find someone too, that's going to fit well with the guys. Obviously they're going to have to come in and he's going to have to mold them to what he wants to do, because, whenever the new manager does come in, we're likely to see a drastic shift in whatever system they bring in. Because, what Troy and Zach did was very deliberately designed for the players that Troy wanted and that Zach wanted. So, something that, that we've liked, maybe we see more to at the top. Maybe we see, less of the wing backs. I don't know. We don't know at this point. But, I did talk to David Carl earlier today. He said there is no update on the coaching search. So we don't know. We honestly don't know. We have no idea on the time frame that the club has in terms of doing this. So, that being said, looking ahead to Saturday, Tampa Bay, tough matchup on the road with first assistant, Masaki Himi in charge, getting the guys ready for this weekend. Given the emotional impact of the weekend, Zach leaving and the guys clearly not performing well in that match on Saturday, or at least not performing up to where we thought they would be on Saturday. Do you think Masaki and crew are able to get the guys ready in time for Saturday? And do we look competitive against a pretty good Tampa Bay side?
Yeah, we still have the talent. Talent's still definitely there. Who knows? Maybe. Typically, you see it with a club that's struggling and they fire the manager. You might get a 1 or 2 match bump of them playing better. That's not what happened here, though. So it's kind of hard to say, if we're going to get a down and depressed team or a fired up. Hey, let's go prove ourselves in this tough place to play over in Tampa Bay. It's kind of, I don't know. I really just don't know what's going to happen. I like to think that I think we're going to go out there and perform better than we have at time this year. Whether that's going to be enough, we'll have to see.
Harry, it's better for the club to get the hire right. El Paso is a prime example of a hire gone wrong. The impact cap. Yeah, absolutely. El Paso clearly made the wrong decision last year. Yeah,
but they made the wrong decision over the entire offseason. Like that was just on whoever was making that decision to begin with. That was not a rushed decision, not a hastily made decision. It was well thought out and just poorly executed decision.
Alan says a couple rally hopefully on Saturday. Aaron, all I know is I'm ready for that new manager bounce. I mean, yeah, I mean that's obviously something that you that a lot of people believe in. You know, you see a new manager come in, the guys have an extra pep in their step, and they start picking up a couple wins, a couple good results in a row. And so that could very easily be a thing once the new manager is named. And you look at again.
I feel like that normally happens when it's like a manager leaving that they were tired of.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was the case here. So I'm not 100% sure a new manager bounce is coming with Hemi. Anyways, maybe if they bring in a new guy, and
I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Aaron, but I don't know if that's going to come this match.
John, I really don't want to go in the Phoenix game with an intern. Honestly, we've watched some Phoenix this year. Phoenix still is not that great of a club. They still have issues. So I wouldn't be I'm not terribly concerned about that match. There are some others in there that I am concerned about. With the first assistant, leading the charge. But yeah, Phoenix, I'm not as worried about. Earl, for you looking Saturday, Tampa Bay, 6 matches unbeaten for the Rowdies. Do you think there's some sort of Hemi magic that comes out on Saturday?
I mean, one can only hope. I don't think that there will be Hemi magic. You never know. But I don't like the timing of it. Obviously, you lose your head coach. You go against a strong team with a backup head coach with an assistant. I mean, the odds are stacked against you either which way you look at it. So no, I don't like it, and that's that.
Harry in the chat, in USL, you're never out of the playoff race. I mean, realistically, yeah, especially in the Western Conference until you are mathematically eliminated. So no worries on NMU and needing to rush it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, the West is always close. It's been close every year that since we came into the league. So yeah, even if we have a few down matches here until we get someone named, I think there's still an opportunity for us to sneak into the playoffs towards the end of the season. But yeah, talking about Tampa Bay, their team, they're not quite as good as they've been in past seasons, but they are still one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. They historically have been. They've got a pretty good side over there. They had a good coach in Collins, and this is a match I'm not terribly fond of. A matchup I'm not terribly fond of. I mean, they have some guys that we don't match up well against. They have Cal Jennings, JJ Williams, guys that we have not performed well against in the past. Top to bottom, Tampa Bay is an extremely talented roster. Do I think we see a little bit more energy out of the guys on Saturday? Absolutely. Do I think we see, a better performance? Yes. Do I think we walk away with this one with a win? Probably not. But that's just because of the nature of the opponent that we're playing. Again, Tampa Bay is a very good team. And I think we have the pieces to do it, but realistically, can we on Saturday? I just don't know. I don't believe that we do this weekend. So let's get some scoreline predictions, and we'll start getting out of here. Earl, let's start with you.
2-0 them.
Okay, 2-0.
Lightning just struck when Earl said that. I think you angered the god there. I'll say 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay. Yeah, I'm not fond of this matchup. I don't think we match up well against them. 3-1 Tampa Bay.
Fuck both y'all.
It's just hard. It's a hard one to call, and none of us like picking against United. None of us do, but we try to not be homers like some other shows. Looking at you, seriously, Loco. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough matchup. Tough week for the guys. So it'll be interesting to see what happens Saturday night in Tampa Bay. So that match, of course, will be 5:30. 5:30? Yeah, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So no late match. You go out and have a date night afterwards. Enjoy your evening. Guys, before we get out of here, do you guys have any closing thoughts? No, nothing from Earl. Jacob?
No. John, really? Why? Why, people? Why? Anyways.
You're the
No.
only homer.
I said 1-1. Like, we're talented enough. I know we are.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if Suggs and Seymour are back. Because that small side note on the El Paso match, we're missing two of our top 5 defenders. And Brucey was just now coming back from a couple injuries, I think.
But I also talked to Brucey after the match, and he said he was playing not 100%.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious,
Well, and what was
besides
interesting,
the wrist, he had other things going on. He said he was maybe 60% at best.
And what was interesting was in the media, what's the word I'm looking for? Media guide?
Yeah.
Match notes. That's the word I was looking for. It did say Bruce was questionable with a lower body injury, not the wrist. So, yeah, definitely. We definitely weren't 100% as a club out there, and so it is what it is. We'll go try to take it to Tampa Bay after some jarring news on Saturday, and yeah, just it is rough, man. It is rough. Seth, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I
Nope,
mean that's
good.
something we didn't mention either. A lot of injuries on Saturday. I mean, we had no defenders on the bench Saturday night, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. And where is Timothy Zolli? Oh wait, he got loaned out. So yeah,
I'm not gonna shit on that too much because there was probably something there that we don't know about.
It's entirely possible, but
and so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you guys all for hopping in. One of our best watched live shows ever. Thank you guys all for being here. I do appreciate all the comments and questions in the chat. Again, we are here every Tuesday night at 9. So this will be live in your podcast feeds later this week. Please go check it out. That being said, Jacob, get us out of here.
Yeah, it might take me just a second here because we had a lot of people commenting, but because of that, I want to thank John and Henry and Harry and Aaron and Ellen and Jane and Robert reluctantly. I'll thank Jerry for popping in just so I could have the ability to ban him from the chat. That was nice. Rachel, of course, was in the chat. Just a great showing here. And we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in live, commenting. For those of you that are listening to this podcast in the future, thank you guys. Be sure to come on live and be able to get in the chat with us. I know for some people it's a little late, starting at 9:00, but when you have little kids that go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and like to have that hour in between where I can wind down. And had we started any earlier, Earl would have been swimming in his house. So I know it's late, but we really appreciate you guys being able to come on. We went a little long today, but obviously there was a lot to cover there. At the end of the day, don't attack people personally that you don't know. And just somos niños, guys.